Hello, I'm Robert, and this is a piece of music I just played. I'm going to upload a recording of it. I thought I'd talk about it. I just saved it into the private area of our forum as a place to play it from. Anyway, I thought I'd just talk a little bit about it, and also about some artistic choices I made while playing it. And the few, I think the few slightly, not exactly wrong notes, but slightly rough notes in my performance. But I'm practicing it, and I don't probably most people won't even notice. But I I thought I'd talk a little bit about the background to it. So Jacob van Eyck, he was a Carillion in uh, in the Netherlands, which means that he played church bells using a keyboard. So in the United Kingdom, we have, and if you know Big Ben chimes, and many of our churches, they have these tunes that they play, and they play a quarter of tune at the quarter hour, then half the tune, then three quarters of the tune, and the entire tune at the full hour. And those tunes are played on church bells, playing on bells of different pitches to they combine together to make the tune. Well, in the Netherlands, they have lots and lots of these uh, keyboard played of the same idea, but the tunes are played from a keyboard by players. And the players called a Carillion, and it's a very keyboard. You must very quite heavy keys that you've got to hit to, but which would then strike a bell on bell, and then you hear these tunes played across the village back in medieval time. Well, not medieval, late, but whatever. I'm not quite sure what the period is, but whenever we did it, actually, I think it's. Let's give the date here. Um, anyway, he's so that's the background, and he was blind, and he would play the tunes on the church bells from the keyboard, and then sort of in his spare time, he would also play the recorder, which is much lighter, faster instrument which you play to delight passers-by. And this is maybe there's more in more modern times, but this is the most extensive work of uh, wind instrument music for a single wind instrument to be got from the past. He wrote lots and lots of tunes, and it's all exactly the same pattern. It starts with a very simple tune, and this makes it very appropriate for beginners because a beginner can play the first tune and they might well be able to play the first variation of it, and then you can practically play more variations as you get more accustomed to playing the recorder. And then you can also play it they work very well played slowly as well as fast. So I play these quite slowly. I wouldn't be within my capabilities to play it as fast as a professional record player would play it, but I also think it sounds very nice, slow and lyrical. So that's an artistic choice that I made. I've also talked about how I play in ways which every note is a continual surprise, and that is one of the ways that they used to think about it in that's one method of interpretation. According to some people, that's a more authentic way of playing it. And so it still sounds like the rhythm. If you're not listening, even if you're listening quite carefully, you just think that's just playing that tune. But if you listen very carefully, then you can't predict exactly when every note is going to come because it's played in phases. And the more normal way you'd play this tune, so if you hear the way I recorded it, was, but the more normal way would be much faster, and you go, so it's dun dun dun. It's just you're playing those two notes phrased together, those two notes phrased together, those two notes phrased together, those two notes phrased together. But I phrase it like that, like that, like that, and like that, and I do it so each note is a surprise. You're going from, so those sudden pizzicato notes also played as slightly a surprise. I'm not sure if I managed to do it all the way through and how much it was a surprise, but that was the idea behind it. And as I practice on it more, I'll bring out that more and more in the way I play it. Now, when you notice that when I could go to the variations, you start getting these extra parts. It's almost like an extra part. And I go, so, and I do the same, this little thing that I did there, of then I pizzicato the first note. That helps to connect that to that. It's easier to hear the note itself, the tune itself being played above. So you've got, and so the second, like the second part at the bottom there, or it could even be two parts. It's almost as a little part here, something like. There's a bit in the middle, and then you can have the bottom bit as being. So if you sort of you've got three parts there almost. So you could try to bring that out, You could even play them in different ways. So you could do all the ones at the bottom as being longer notes and all the ones in the middle being short pizzicato notes. That could be a way to bring out the middle bit. So you could something like that might work quite well. I could give that a go and see if that sounds a little better. And then when I get to the second part here, you're trying to bring up in the first part. Hopefully the tune was pretty easy to follow because it was at the top. But then it starts to get a little bit more broken up a bit. So you've really got. But if you go look at it, you've got. So you've got this. It's like the second note in, and so you've got instead of going. It's. That's really what you're playing, or it could be. It's more like. And you can sort of think about which of those you're trying to do. So I think it a little bit almost like. So. So it's like the second note is just a continuing. It's almost like that note was continuing because your mind gets distracted by the notes below, and then you continue it into the next, and it's to the end of it, and then start the next bit. And so, and then here again, now it's got mark. It should be. So it doesn't actually deal with that properly there. You think, oh, has he made a mistake? Because why hasn't he got the C there? Why has he got why hasn't he? But it's more like he's sort of playing and he's moved it back. So remember my. So you've got the there. So you sort of moved it. You've still got a little bit of it. So you've got. So instead of it's. So it's still there. That C is still there, and it's just been delayed a little bit. So you go. So that's a little subtle bit there where that C is in a different place from where you expect it. And then you go to the next one, next variation, and now this is very much a 3 parts. So you've got on the bottom, you've got the you've got an extra little, but you put an extra note in up there. So you've got and then you've got all this stuff at the bottom, and you've got so you've sort of got and you've got that's the sort of middle part, and then you've got the bottom part is going. And so you put, and then you try and get a kind of 3 part feel to it again, I think. So and then you've got this. Then you get to this next bit where it goes. And if you've got that delayed C again there. So you've got all this stuff happening on at the bottom down there. So anyway, that gives you an idea of how it all goes. So you keep practicing and you keep looking back to where the tune is and then trying to pick it up. So keep reminding yourself where you are in the tune when you're practicing this. And then you can go back and look and try and pick it and keep picking it out. And he never really loses the tune, even though the way some players play it. By the time you've got to this, some of the time he seems to have completely lost the tune. But if you could pick the notes out, they're still there. Almost all the notes, the very few notes actually get missed. And then here they tend to, if you look at this bit, it goes. It tends to be played more like a trill at the bottom though. So that's the way it's normally played. But I think it makes much more fun. And remembering that way back then, they weren't thinking in terms of. Oh, I've lost myself. Sorry. Remember that way back then, they weren't thinking in terms of equal notes back then. It was this idea of constant surprise and unequal notes. And so I'm not sure that really is a trill down there. I used to think it was when I used to play this in the past. I used to think, well, we've got to just pretend there's a kind of trill going on with the notes on top. So you can see but I now think that perhaps it's not meant to be a trill. So and then we get to this bit, and it goes. Remember the tune is. And so you've got so those extra notes it's not is how it's normally played. That's how it's normally played. but I think it's better played. And then when you do those little slurs up, then I always tongue the note that is meant to be the so it's completely slurred. So it's and then you've got to it's a natural thing to just go, but I think it's better. And you're coming very definitely into that note that you're coming up to. So it's and then that little bit, you want to be really relaxed, and this is I think this should really be a sans souci, that you really stop worrying about the rhythm there when you get that last bit. I think it should be really so. And then that's is you've got to remember where you are in the tune. So it's remember it's so it's where's it? So you've got very little of that E to D bit. It's that bit sort of got lost somehow. So wait a minute. D, da, da. Oh yes, wait a minute. So what's happened to this one? If we go back to up the tune there. Oh, wait a minute. Where? Sorry, I'm getting lost. Which bit? I was doing that bit there. Sorry. So yes, so we've done this bit here. Sorry. So that's what we're doing here. That's what we are, the bit we are here. So we've got so this is the note that gets lost somewhere here. So it's going this. And so where's that B? Where how are you going to pick out the B there? You know, so it's got, and then you've got to get a B. So do you start thinking, you know, or should you pick out that one there, or should you just pick out this bit here, and that maybe makes more sense. So and then then all the rest of this is no longer a tune; it's just embroidery, and so you can just. And I think this bit is best played without any with feeling of complete carelessness. So. I'm not sure I can, or something. I've got to practice that. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. But the whole point is that you've finished all the tune, and then you just got this little embellishment. You can do it any time. time. You don't need to be very strictly in time. Or something, I don't know. And then when you come to this bit here, what I've been doing is that I pick out, so you've got, the notes. Wait a minute, let me make sure I've got the right tune there. So we're at this bit now. Yes, that's it. So if we go up there, so that's the bit we're doing here. So we go there. So you've got, and then there's come here, there's, and then you've got, so so those are the bits you want to distinguish them. So what I do there is that I tongue the note. So I use my tongue to start a new note, just there, and then slow the rest. So I got, so I do it very slowly. So, so and then, so that's all you, I don't know if you could hear what I was doing, but you just tongue that note, then you start the slur with tonguing with the next little bit. So it's, so that's all a slur. And then you've got, so, so I've got it, so I'm, my tongue, I tongue beginning of that note and the beginning of that, and that's slur, and I slur everything else, tongue that, tongue that, tongue that, tongue that, tongue that, and then I tongue just that note and slur that bit. These notes are, I think, supposed to be just too fast for you to be able to play them individually. I think they're intended to be like that. So whatever is too fast for you to tongue individually, you should play them at that speed. So, and then when I get to here, then obviously you don't separate that first note out because it's not part of the tune. Now it's, so, so you've got this, the first note has been played right into the middle of that bit. So it's, instead of being, it's, and so you want, and then it's, so again, that's now the first note is the one you want to tongue out and separate. So it's, and then this, now this bit, so if you think about what it is, it's what weight is in the tune. You remind myself weight is in the tune. So now we're at the very end of the tune, there's that bit. And so we hear, so that's a little embellishment of that. And then that. So really, these two notes are the tune. So it's, and then where's the next note? It just seems to have got lost, doesn't it? Well, it's there. And then where's the rest of it? Well, it just gets all played all the way to the end of that flourish. So I pick it out there. You could pick it out. I tried picking it out there as well, but it doesn't really. You could just pop it in there. So this first bit is a little flourish before the and a delayed note, and that's the. And then this is just a flourish ending up, and that is your note. Sorry. So you eventually get the, and you get the, it's right delayed to the very end of that little flourish. So it's like, the thing he's been doing all the way through is delaying notes quite often, by adding a flourish in front of them. But now he's delayed this one all the way to there. And I think that might be the best way to look at it. The other way was, sorry. But I think that doesn't sound so artistic to my ear. So I just think about it. And it sounds like that B has been hugely delayed and just delayed and delayed and delayed. And finally you get it to end that phrase. So I'll just play that last section. That's my favourite section of this tune, and it's actually easier to play than the first half, which is kind of nice, because once you've done that bit, and then you say, I finished that, then this last bit you can really relax into it and enjoy it. So it's, I think I keep doing wrong is I keep not tonguing that very first when I start that section, so I need to practice that. I have a great tendency to start that first one with, I think it should be, yeah, what you were right was, so I need to do that, and then notice how I kind of sustain, I've sustained that note there to bring it down to, so remember it's, so And I think that bit there, I think I tend to play that lazily. Well, maybe most chord players do in virtuosos, but I don't think it's right. Well, I mean, not. I don't mean it's not right the way they play it, but my interpretation and what I'm trying to achieve here, it then doesn't fit. So so that's more like a middle note and a bottom note there. You're almost three parts there temporally. So and then remember you've got this strange thing here. We've got all no, so yes, that's that bit, but it's the delayed start. So yes, and so when you've got something like that, where you're making a mistake, then think that this your professional musician won't need to know this, but if you're a beginner, then you need to focus. You instead of just playing all the way through to that, then stopping each time and getting it wrong, you need to focus a little bit that you're getting wrong, and try and get a little bit before it and after it. So you might do. And then you can just play it again. And that bit is also I want to fix. So you go around it like that. You just practice a little bit and you go back and forth, back several times through it. Indeed, maybe I should just play that bar and that bar to bring it all together. So that's how I wanted to play it. That worked fine. So once you've done that, then you play it. Once you've got it, then you play it slow, a couple of times fast, one time slow, and the last time fast, and that really helps to get onto your fingers. So and then the last time, then one time slow, and then finally fast. So and then finally last time fast again. And then once you've done that, then you fixed in your memory by doing that somehow, playing it fast a couple of times, then slow, and then fast again. That seems to stick it in your memory, and then it's much less likely that you're going to make a mistake again. So at this point, I'm by a mistake I mean just little things like tonguing in the wrong place, and bringing out the wrong note. I do have still fluff notes, as you'll have heard, but I sometimes even play a completely the wrong note. But it's more often things like that I'm not tonguing it. I'm not phrasing it exactly as I wanted it to be. And so that's the that's so that just gives you an idea of how I practice these pieces, and it's a lot of fun practicing it, and I think that's a very beautiful piece myself. And then the next thing you do once you've practicing it a lot, you can also start memorizing it. And I've memorized. I think I memorized up to there or something, and I gradually over a period of time, you start memorizing the whole thing as well. And I've got, I mean, that last bit I can almost play my memory, I think. It's just such a fun piece, and it's really played it quite a few times. And so, did I get that right? No, I don't think it did. So, so anyway, so that's the next thing, is just kind of memorizing it, and then once I've memorized it, then it's something you don't even need to get the music out to practice it. So anyway, this just, I thought I'd talk about it, just give you an idea of how I practice record the music, and I've got a separate video that I just did a little while back, which talks about how I'm able to change the volume of notes by keeping the pitch the same. So another thing that I need to practice, this is pretty good for it. You know, you've got the that's got lots of octaves and things that you can help and fifths and things, and it can get you to you can practice getting them in tune with each other in the two octaves. I think it's more something recorder players might hear than non-recorder players, because there aren't very many harmonics in the recorder. But sometimes I'm really quite challenged at getting the octaves quite right, and getting the exact pitch between the two. So, for instance, in this passage down here, I don't know if you noticed, but I actually this bit here. So, by the way, this score's got a wrong note there for some reason. I don't know why they put the wrong note. That should be D. So, I often get, and there's a passage down here, a little bit down here. I often get that not quite in the right place. That pitch of that. So where we got here? Yeah, here we are. So I need to keep practicing and get in the way that automatically goes exactly into pitch with that bit. So my so it puts it and because I've got a lot of control over the pitch and volume, if it's more a conceptual thing about getting it in the right place. I don't know. There's something in between what I'm hearing and what I'm producing. So I could go. So I could literally put it way out. I'm not sure if I can actually do that if I want to. So. I can't really do it deliberately. You can see I can play actually really quite quiet, so I could go. I could do a really quiet one. I'm doing all that just by breath, not by fingering, changing the pitch of that note. So it's not about the control of the note. It's about it's something to do with the feedback, and I don't know why it is. On that particular phrase, I keep getting that D in not quite the right pitch. I don't know why my mind keeps doing that, and so I've got to keep practicing that. So that's one phrase. I need to get the two parts completely properly in pitch there. I don't know what it is and why that's a problem. And so you get little things like this, but I'm sure I expect hardly anyone notices it. And anyway, so that's anyway, the main thing, and don't the main thing is just have lots of fun with it, and not to worry about, and just play according to what sounds good to you, and what sounds nice, and just have great fun with it. And so hopefully this helps you and helps some of you with your practicing and things to look out. And I talk a little bit about exercises I do. So I go wait a minute. So for instance, I do so yeah, this is what I do. For instance, is so sorry. And so on, like that, and then you for the slurs. And you can also do the more usual one. And of course that sort of thing, just slowing all the way up and down a scale and things like that. So when I've got a bit of time, when I'm in the middle of fact checking, I sometimes just get my chord and just play some scales and of course all these scales and arpeggios, Wait a minute, I got so. And so on, just going up and down scales. Anyway, it can be. I'm a little bit out of practice, but I used to be able to take a tune in any key, and then be quite easy to move it into another key. And just because of practicing a lot of going up and down in and doing the same pattern in different keys, I can't do that now. and but that's so then you could start reading this and say, well, suppose I just went up. It goes down to C, so shall we try this in C sharp and see what it sounds like, so. Is that what? No. So that was played in C sharp instead of C. So I just moved everything up a semitone. Yeah, so I can still do it. I can read something in C and play it in C sharp. So that helps to get your mind much, and so then I could try doing the last little bit. So I don't think I'll be able to do it right now. That was in C sharp, but I can't. I could easily play this entire piece in C sharp if I just reading it in C and playing it in C sharp, and so that's, if you want a little bit of mental gymnastics, then that's quite a fun thing to do. If you want to challenge your mind and keep your mind flexible, so you could just play all these pieces in C sharp. I don't think there's anything, unless it goes all the way up to a C. If it does, and this doesn't go high up in the second octave, and very few of their pieces do. So so it'd be no problem in playing that entire piece in C sharp. So that's another way that you can do it. Just get a slightly different perspective on it, and just say, well, just by shaking up the fingerings completely, then that can, maybe jiggle some things and get some ideas flowing in your mind that you didn't have with the people when playing it in C. So that's another thing that I used to do, and I haven't practiced the recorder for years now. I only just got started a week or two ago, and I haven't practiced this, and I've done very little recorder playing because of all the voluntary back checking, and because just got caught up in other things. But I'm going back to it now, and so I just thought some of these things that I do, it might be quite fun for some of you to try it out, depending on your level of proficiency and what sort of things you like doing and so on. And I think almost all recorder players really love the Jacob van Eyck pieces. They're such fun to play, and they're so joyful. So and it doesn't matter what your level of expertise, you can enjoy it. You can always enjoy the first variation on it, and on this one, for instance, you could play that one, then you could practice that one. I think just about everyone can give that a go, even though you might struggle quite a lot with it, with all the octaving and so on, but it's a lot of fun to try it out. So anyway, hopefully this might be a bit inspiring and fun for some people.